Hello, everyone. This is RestoreWellness.org. This is Keith Hennefeld, and we have a very, very special podcast going on today. Today is Jim Collins and Jimbo Collins, and we're here to discuss Jim Collins' pancreatic cancer. Jim's had a very, very interesting travel over a year, almost a year.
Well, longer than that. He was diagnosed with the kidney cancer of May of 24. So that's about 18 months, 19 months.
Yeah. So here he has been really going through a lot of the avenues of what people go through with cancer. And today we just really want to talk to Jim, learn his experience, and hopefully his experience can help everyone and our listeners. Sure. So tell us a little bit about your journey there, Jim.
Okay, well, probably the number of months ago that 14, basically I had a bladder problem being a senior, and I wanted to have that check, see what we could do with it. They took an MRI. They found a tumor in my left kidney, size of a golf ball. It was cancer. Didn't even know I had it. So they also found something on my duodenum.
The head of the pancreas.
At the head of the pancreas, a little. It was like a cyst type thing, and he said, "Let's address the kidney first." So they took it out.
And that was back in
This is May
of 2024.
Right.
Yes.
So we're doing about a year, and almost 6 months now.
Yeah.
So they took it out, and there was no side effects. I couldn't believe it. I got a perfectly functioning kidney. The other one, I'm trying to keep it healthy. And then basically 4 days before I was supposed to go in for the surgery.
Well, weren't we still working on? He had the tumor that was on the duodenum and the head of the pancreas. We were working on with the holistic protocol to starve it out. We did not commit to doing the surgery right away. Remember?
Right.
So we were on the fence about it, and then you could tell them what happened.
Worked with Keith and Jim and some associates. Basically, we went ahead and had the. I was gonna work with the holistic, and then I had an attack on a Friday, 4 days before they scheduled the surgery, and they had to rush me to the hospital because an artery with the tumor, the tumor ruptured an artery, and I basically was bleeding to death. Yeah. So the ambulance took me to the hospital.
Yeah.
Basically, they had to cauterize, they had to do emergency surgery, and they put me on the table. I was not out completely, and I told Jim. He told me afterwards, it was the worst experience I could ever remember because I was so cold, and I lost blood to death. So, yeah, almost bled to death. So then we went to the emergency surgery for the Whipple procedure, which is 8-hour surgery to rearrange everything in your body. Which and then the two doctors I had were excellent. They said they got all the cancer, and then basically I went after that. Recovery was rough. I went to my doctor and my blood doctor, and they were pushing the chemo really hard. Well, my son was with me all the way, and we had a 2-hour discussion, and he finally said, "You do whatever you want to do, we'll support you." So I opted out of the chemo at that time, and I went to holistic, and I worked with Keith and my son and Jim Lavelle, a number of the associates. He's got a great team, and I did it. In the first 3 months, I went back to my blood doctor. I was cancer free, and he was not pushing holistic at all. They don't believe it. So what happened was he says, "You're doing good." So he says, I was taking ivermectin, all the supplements that you put me on. I met with Keith, and I got a regimentation of pills.
We did fenbendazole, ivermectin, methylene blue. We got him on Metatrol Pro, which is a fermented wheat that helps to starve cancer, along with things like black seed oil.
Right. Omega oil.
A very extensive supplement list.
Dandelion.
Yeah.
And Jimbo, what do you think? What was your role in this situation? How are you feeling about the whole situation? And what do you find that as a loved one and a family member who has someone who has cancer, what were you going through? And tell me all about that.
Well, like we talked about, when he got diagnosed, I wanted to learn everything I could about cancer. So I started going crazy, just researching. That's where I discovered Professor Seyfried, and reaching out to my friend Jim Lavelle, who's a world leader in metabolic hormones. And then me and Keith linked up and become great friends and partners and all this. And Keith taught me a lot about some of the stuff that he'd been working on too. And so with this great team together, I was confident that we could really help my dad's journey here, his cancer journey. For me, I just wanted to keep on learning more and more and more and have answers. And we have answers, and I just wanted to keep on encouraging my dad to follow the protocol and do what he can in his own power to do his part in starving the cancer.
What do you think was the most frustrating thing in the journey so far?
Well,
For me or him?
An open ending. I guess.
probably as much for him as for me. Basically, I was told over a year ago, he told me what I should lose. I lost 106 pounds. I went from a size 44 waist to a 32. I went from, the highest was 266, went down to 131.
So let me just pause there for a second. So you got cancer, but you're also admitting that your BMI was up, that you were overweight.
Yeah.
Well, he was type 2 diabetes, and overweight. And he'll tell you, he never took care of himself and ate.
And we've learned that so far that, cancer lives off of glucose.
Okay.
And if you're type 2 diabetic, you have excessive glucose in your body circulating. So if you are a diabetic, you are basically running an increased risk of.
And one of the statistics that I learned was that if you have a belly on you, so to speak, if you're obese, especially the belly, the midsection area, and if you're type 2 diabetic, you have an 8-fold chance of getting some sort of abdominal region cancer, whether it be lung, pancreas, liver, kidney, whatever it might be, just because of being a type 2 diabetes and being overweight.
Well, after in the journey, 6 months later, after staying on the protocol, I went back to my doctor, and he said, "Whatever
Your oncologist. Right?
oncologist," he said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, man." I mean, they don't like to admit because he wasn't for holistic, but now it was hard for him to argue. But he said, "I'm going to support you all the way."
So, but originally you were told that you had 3 to 4 months to live.
Yeah, he told me with this type of the pancreatic cancer, from past experiences, 3 to 4 months, 2 to 4 months of it.
And you are at what point right now?
Well,
18.
let's see, May.
18 months from your original cancer diagnosis to now 18 months later. And that has been partly responsible, I think, if you think about it. Not only are you trying to manage the cancer through a holistic perspective, and remember, holistic doesn't mean necessarily all alternative, meaning that you're just going off the rails and chewing on bark. This means that you are addressing the important things, checking your labs, doing chemotherapy or radiation at times or surgery at times, and also supplementing with certain things like the antiparasitics, but also working on your diet. And I think diet tends to be one of the hardest things because we like food, and when you're not feeling well, we like to eat.
That's my biggest problem is the food, because I was a kind of a donut freak. And the thing is, the sugar, it's hard. It's almost like a drug addict trying to get off drugs. You get addicted to it since I was a kid. And I go in the store and there's a rack of donuts there, man. I'll tell you, I got to get out of there real quick. So I'm adapting. I do cheat. Jimbo's on my case. He's on my case. I'm trying my best. And it's a hard journey with everything else I've been through. And in the process, I was selling my business after 55 years. And I couldn't be involved. So I'm stressed out about that. So,
and you can stress is, and we talked about that, the cortisol levels and getting your stress level up.
Stress is hard, and stress makes you want to eat, and that brings your cortisol up and your sugars up. But you're not alone. Jim, there's a lot of people out there struggling with these things that have probably got them to where they were, and they have to make major life changes. At the same time, you're possibly mildly depressed because of the diagnosis.
And this story, I mean, we could talk forever about it, but also the thing with the Whipple, we later on found back in June and July, he took a bad turn because he had the liver blockage because of a stent they mistakenly left behind during the Whipple procedure, which is a whole other conversation. But
not really, though, because we talked about this before, that complications from some of the interventions and the chemotherapy and radiation is what causes people to die. And through the grace of God and having the support that we had around the hospital stay during that stent blockage, he pulled through quite nicely.
But we also, and we don't have evidence of this, but we've kind of, if you look at just do the math on it, when we figured out that his liver wasn't working because it was being blocked because of that stent that built up that blockage, prior to that, he was doing great. And that happened. And all of a sudden he went downhill and it just affected his immune system so much. And that's when the reoccurrence of the nodules in the lungs and stuff popped up. And like you said, we talked about this a lot, is, it could have been from his weakened state that he had a reoccurrence. And we were even testing his cancer stem cells, and his cancer stem cells were down. So that's where the toxic treatments don't even play a role anyways. And so we still hadn't touched anything with the chemo and things like that. But after he got through, after 7 attempts of fixing the stent, which we finally got the liver taken care of with a proper stent, which was very traumatizing to his immune system, to his overall health, to his weight loss, to his, his metabolism, all that stuff. So when your body's in a weakened state, cancer loves a weak body. And that's what happened in that situation. And so now we did decide, and my dad decided, and, I'm not a big advocate of it, but it's okay. He's done some mild chemo on top of doing the holistic plan.
Right. So not full dose chemotherapy that can necessarily wipe you out completely. We're doing microdosing again of the chemotherapy. And you seem to be tolerating that well.
I've done real well. I had one today, and I get a little bit tired, but I haven't really lost my hair. I haven't lost a lot of the side effects that most people have with chemo. I think because I did so much holistic, I'm still doing it. I think that it helps the side effects, I think, with the chemo. I might be wrong.
And also the hyperbaric chamber.
Right.
So the hyperbaric chamber that we've been doing, I ended up getting a hyperbaric chamber put in my basement, which I'm in all the longevity stuff, and I'm fascinated with all this stuff for my own fitness and health and bodybuilding. But my push was, okay, my dad's got cancer. I'm going to get this thing, and we're going to help starve cancer out. And you do the research on the HBOT and the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Cancer cannot survive in a high oxygen state. And so when you're getting, when you're in a hyperbaric chamber, mine goes to 1.75 atmospheres, you're forcing all that oxygen into your body, and cancer can't live there.
Well,
and so it also helps with side effects from the treatments. So if a person's having horrible side effects from some of the toxic treatments, the HBOT therapy can help with that.
but I recommend it. At first, I had a hard time because I was claustrophobic. Keith gave me some stuff to relax me, and now I get in there, it's fine. I look at my cell phone, I listen to soft music. But after I get out of there, and I recommend this to everybody, if you got a lung problem or anything, injuries like Jimbo has, people that have sore muscles from working out. The next day, the first time I did it, the next day I felt like I was 30 years old. My breathing was better. It's a life changer. So if you get an opportunity, do it. And the thing is, I can't do it. He lives a little distance from me. I can't do it every day. I wish I could, but I go in there I try to get an hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half. And like I say, I'm used to it now. I'm not intimidated by it. And I
You
recommend.
get a new set of lungs. You get out of your,
Oh yeah, yeah,
breathe very deep.
yeah. It's amazing.
And Seafried in our podcast we had the other day, he talked about that if a person is in ketosis, and they do hyperbaric oxygen therapy while they're in ketosis, it just blasts those cancer cells. Absolutely just blasts.
Well, my mission was, I had a lot of customers and friends and relatives that they're getting cancer, and I passed on my information from Keith and Keith's information to them, because some of them feel totally hopeless. They like they say, they want to give up. I said, don't give up. You got to fight the fight. And Keith is very encouraging when you talk to him. That's part of it. Make you feel that there's hope, and you don't give up. And I've had some times where I thought, all this stuff I'm doing is all this treatment. Doctors call me every day, tubes in me. I got a feeding tube right now to get my weight up. It's working. But all the tubes I've had in the last 14, 15 months, I said to myself, is this worth it? I'm 76 years old. But yeah, it is worth it, because you got family and you want to be around, and friends, you want to be around for them, So good Lord providing, he's kept me here. He's got a purpose, I feel. And these guys here you couldn't ask for a better team. I've just been blessed.
Yeah, you have an excellent son who's really, taken leadership and educating himself, and then bringing that education to the family. And he's been instrumental in my life as far as metabolic and dealing with the importance of muscle building and regeneration of your body and basically personal transformation. And when you have cancer, you have to transform yourself. You have to become somebody different, because the same person that you were that developed cancer can't be the same person that's going to cure that cancer. So you have to transition into a whole new lifestyle, a whole new diet, a whole new way. But with that comes, think about all the mental strength and the mental, adversities that you've had to overcome, and what that's taught not only yourself, but the people that are witnessing this, and they're growing with encouragement and also, life lessons, right? And there is no really box of chocolate of life. Everybody's got their challenges, but you're doing a great job.
Well, in human nature is, you always think it's going to happen to somebody else, not you. It can happen to any of us. So just be prepared. Do preventions like these gentlemen are talking about. Anything you can, because we're all susceptible. I don't care who you are.
So, Jim, what are some things, like prevention-wise, that someone can do to help strengthen their mitochondria and be the best version of themselves that can be to avoid cancer?
Well, obviously, exercise, resistance training, nutrition, of course, hydration, and probably the number one superpower would be sleep. Getting sleep is very underrated, and it's something that is a lot harder for people to do than you think. That's one of the issues I have with a lot of my clients is they don't sleep. You start not getting sleep, then you start getting metabolic damage. You start getting cortisol levels and that are out of whack, and your thyroid gets out of whack, and you start to develop all kinds of issues, and then you start to gain weight. It becomes a vicious cycle. But just self-care, and it's all about self-improvement, body, mind, and spirit. And if you're an athlete, it's about body, mind, and spirit. And if you got diagnosed with cancer, it's about body, mind, and spirit. So like we just talked about, the same person who gets diagnosed with cancer has to become a warrior and just get the mindset to say, I'm not going to accept this. I'm going to win this battle. And God's way is the holistic way. It's the natural way. And he gave us the things, he put the things on this earth for us to use, to heal our bodies, to strengthen our bodies, and to fight off these diseases. And I think that if you stay focused and you stay disciplined, you can do that.
See the results.
Yeah.
We're at 18 months right now. And Jim, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you telling us and sharing your story here today. Jimbo, thanks for coming on here. And I know that both of you have gone through a lot and worked really, really well together to make this happen, to make this longevity happen. And we're hoping to continue this journey. And we pray that all of this comes out to be a really good, positive situation, and also encouraging for other people who are in the same shoes to increase their longevity and duration with whatever is coming their way. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for coming to restorewellness.org, and feel free to visit us at restorewellness.org. And if you want to email us, it's at info@restorewellness. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.